always hear different things, but for you, did you get like were people sweating you like, oh man, why you become a Muslim, or did people just leave you
I never got
alone?
that. I never got nobody ever came up to me and ever said that to me. But
Oh,
I heard it behind my back. So I heard it through like second, third party people saying shit, but they never had the heart to say it to my face. But a lot of people encouraged it, you know what I'm saying? And then through people seeing me, a lot of other people followed behind me as well.
hmm.
You know what I'm saying? They came and took their shahada and things like that. So, yeah, and I didn't really care, what people had to say because I know I had to live for myself. I know I had a family outside. I know I had kids to get back to, and I didn't want to come the same. I didn't want to leave the same way I came in.
Hmm.
So that was my main focus.
And you had mentioned reading and praying. How much reading and praying did you do before you were incarcerated?
I didn't do none. I prayed. I mean, I always prayed. I always believed in God. But not to the extent that I did once I became Muslim. Nah, nothing close.
Hmm. And
Yeah.
what I had read or seen some years ago where you had said you had asked your mom questions and you didn't like the answers. What did you find in Islam that you didn't find elsewhere?
Like I said, consistency. The proof that we have of how the Quran was developed, how it stayed unadulterated for so long, things like that, and just like the idea of how to approach God, like how you approach God, and to see when you ask for something, to see it manifest. You know what I'm saying? Like those things were the most that kind of like confirmed to me that what I was doing was real. And one thing that happened was my son was maybe 1.5, 2 years old, right? This is the last kid that I had at the time. And I used to pray this prayer and I used to be like, God, please keep his love for me inside of his heart. I know he's just a kid, but just put love for me in his heart. You know what I'm saying? As his father, because I'm in jail. I'm not out there raising him. And then, I get a letter, bro. And his mom said in the letter that you know what your son said? He said, I feel my dad right here and pointed at his chest. And
Wow.
that for me, I don't need no great grand sign. Like that was like that sealed the deal. You know what I mean? So it's just little stuff like that, man, that
Well, that's a big thing. That's not little.
yeah, it's very big to me. You know what I mean? That's
It is.
why I speak on it like when I get into these type of conversations because it was like I was like, yo, like that's very real. Yeah.
And what were you reading other than the Quran?
I was reading, man. I don't read novels. Like I don't read like fiction, like nonfiction and all this crazy stuff that people are into, fantasy. I read for knowledge. So a lot of history. You know what I'm saying? A lot of history. One of the classes I took in college was philosophy and stuff like that, logic and all these different things, just because I just knew the reason why when I was younger I didn't talk so much is because I knew I didn't know a lot. So I would be quiet. You know what I'm saying? Like when people have these deep conversations, I would just sit there and listen because like I knew I couldn't fucking relate to what they were talking about. And so my main thing was to keep my mouth closed. And then my goal was to bring myself up to the age that I was mentally and knowledge wise. Like, I knew I was lacking because I just didn't learn a lot of shit. I was too busy trying to be like other people, running in the streets and doing shit like that. So my goal was to just bring my education level up to the age that I was, you know what I mean? And so that's pretty much what I did.
And what did you get like a degree or do you have a specific area of focus or?
Fortunately, the prisons that I was in, we was on lockdown behind race riots and different things like that, that I wasn't able to graduate, bro.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Because if you go on lockdown for a year, how you gonna go to school? How they gonna let the proctor come on the campus? I mean, on the yard and give you guys the test. So all of those things kept pushing everything back, and I never got to get my degree though.
Hmm.
Yeah, but I still learned from the school. From the schooling though.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what's like one or two books that you really enjoyed or got a lot from?
Well, the Quran is the main one, the Holy Quran, and then the traditions of the Prophet. We have these 6 books called the Siha Sitta, which is like the things that he said that's really confirmed by the Quran, but he just he expressed it in his own way, type of thing. Um, those things, and then there's a great book called Stolen Legacy. I don't know if you ever heard of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that book had a great impression on me. And then a lot of books. I think it was called Civilization or Barbarism by Sheikh Anta Diop. He's like a scientific historian. He's not like the average, historian. Like his shit, he would use artifacts and different things and language and match it all up together, to get his point across. Not just saying or citing what somebody else said. Like he did his own excavations and scientific research for his history. So I loved a lot about him. And then, of course, Malcolm X autobiography, man, had a huge impact on me as well. Just to see,
Yeah.
to see where he came from and where he got to, and then also George Jackson, Solid Dead Brother and Blood in My Eye. Those
Mm,
books had a great impact on me too, because one book shows like how far down he was, and by the time the second book come, you can see how
right.
level that he rose to. So those things like that, man. I read a lot of books, bro. Like I had a like I probably had when I came home. I had like a book list like this.
Really?
Yeah, for real. And I don't know what happened to it now, but yeah, it was. I had a lot of stuff that I read, and then going to those old prisons. They had those prisons been open since the 17 and the 1800s, so they had very old libraries in there. So we would find some historical stuff. Like
Hmm.
this one book, like I don't know if I got it around here, but it's called How to Make a Negro a Christian. That was written by the slave. Like I guess he was like their ideologue or something like that, like
Hmm.
about time slavery was coming to an end, and he was addressing the issue of how we don't want these people to go and set up shop and then come back and hunt us. And so his thing was to give them Christianity in a certain type of way, all these different things, man. So a lot of that stuff had a great impression on me.
Well, like you said, not accidental either.
Yeah,
And
sure.